Holiday shopping is here, and Amazon Live has got you covered. Shop for the perfect gift from the comfort of your home with Amazon Live's shoppable video experience. Discover the hottest products from influencers and shop while you watch. This season, join Candy Burris from Real Housewives in her holiday Amazon Live series, Generation Face Off, where Candy, her mom, Mama Joyce, and daughter Riley share their favorite stocking stuffers and go-to gifts across fashion, beauty, and more. Watch and shop new episodes of Candy's series Generation Face Off now by going to amazon.com/candylive. That's amazon.com/candylive. For a limited time, use promo code CANDYLIVE for $5 off an eligible product featured on the first episode of the series. That's KANDILIVE. Promotion expires on December 25th, 2024. Limited supply of goods. Terms and conditions apply. For full promotion terms and conditions, go to amazon.com/candyterms.
What makes a great pair of glasses? At Warby Parker, it's all the invisible extras without the extra cost. Their designer quality frames start at $95, including prescription lenses, plus scratch-resistant, smudge-resistant, and anti-reflective coatings, and UV protection, and free adjustments for life. To find your next pair of glasses, sunglasses, or contact lenses, or to find the Warby Parker store nearest you, head over to warbyparker.com. That's warbyparker.com.
Hello and welcome to Just Films and That, with me, Josh Hallam.
And me, Alice Oliver. This is the podcast where we talk about films that we think are underrated, underappreciated, or we just wanted to talk about them.
We're also going to get stuck into some classic films that one of us maybe hasn't seen, and maybe throw in some great guests along the way. So Alice,
Josh.
we're talking sweets.
Oh.
Boiled sweets or chewy sweets?
So when I worked at Weatherspoons in my past life, I became addicted to energy drinks and Haribo, like almost a daily occurrence.
Like a long distance runner.
Yeah, exactly. Only the best. And I got my first filling at the age of 27 because of this addiction. And I was absolutely mortified, as I'm sure you can imagine. Gone 27 years trying to, keep my teeth, doing everything that the dentist tells you to say.
Brushing them.
That's it, yeah. Because nobody flosses, let's be honest, my God.
Oh, my over half flosses, it takes about 45 minutes to get ready for bed, yeah. I'm usually an hour in. I do brush my teeth, just so everyone
Yeah. Maybe once a week if she's lucky.
Yeah, after my stand-up wash. Sorry, as you were saying.
So after that point, I've been very, very cautious about what goes in my mouth, which never thought I'd hear myself say. But we all get older, we all get wiser. So I would say, chewy sweets. Like you pour a whole bag of Haribo in your mouth and chew that motherfucker. Skittles as well.
Skittles.
I used to be hooked. I think, again, when I was 14, I went through a phase where it was just Skittles every single day. Oh, yeah, literally full bag in your mouth, munch it all down.
You did the vegan thing for a bit, right?
I dabble in and out.
Yeah.
I'm like a vegetarian who's vegan a lot of the time, but, I'm a bit
Super flexy.
bendy. Yeah.
Are Skittles vegan?
I don't.
Because when I was doing Veganuary, because I'm a sheep and do whatever Facebook had to tell me to do.
Good, you're doing what they want. This is the right thing.
I was looking for like vegan sweets, and I'm sure I ate Skittles, but I'm now thinking they might just be vegetarian.
Maybe. There's no reason that they wouldn't be vegetarian or vegan because it's all sugar, but some of those colorings, like they put, some insects and some kind of fish guts and stuff ends up in various places.
If you know if Skittles are vegan.
Yeah, let us know. I'm interested.
Get in touch.
Taste
So what
the
are you going
greeny
with?
rainbow.
Haribo with Star Mix?
I would, any of it, all of it.
Oh, sorry, yeah, that wasn't even the question.
No, it's like,
chewy sweets.
No, which Haribo is best?
Which is the best Haribo?
Oh, all of them. I would go chewy. Like, I don't mind a boiled sweet, but actually, just remembered just now, I choked on a boiled sweet when I was a child, about 3 or 4 years old.
Right.
And I think this was actually one of my earliest memories. So I start choking on this massive blue sweet in my lounge. Mum's vacuuming. She comes in, obviously sees what's happening, grabs me by like my ankles, turns me upside down and starts like shaking me like this. So maybe I've got some trauma that I haven't quite dealt with.
Maybe.
But yeah, I'd go chewy sweet, but not super picky.
No. Okay.
What about you? How high pitched was that?
a couple of dogs next door are going mental.
Yeah.
No, I think chewy.
Mm-hmm.
I like both. I do like a long car journey boiled sweet, but when you're looking for that instant gratification of sugar, you are talking like a Haribo or a Skittle. I love. I think it's Lions that makes them. They make a fruit salads, not fruit salad like blackjack fruit salad.
Oh, not the classic
like
fruit salad.
like a midget gem. You know, like that. They do them like they do like midget gems, and then they do fruit pastels.
Mm-hmm.
Then they do sports mix.
Mm-hmm.
Well, this is fruit salad, so they're just all shaped like fruit.
Good. 5 a day.
I'd have more than 5 a day, to be honest.
Are you like a mouthful kind of guy, or do you eat them one by one?
I eat them one by one, but
Do you?
controversially, put my sweets in the fridge.
Really?
And I get shouted at all the time. If I'm sharing a bag of sweets with my partner, she always says, "Why have you put them in the fridge?"
Well,
because I want them in the fridge.
yeah,
Alice.
I don't know. Maybe
because I want them in the fridge,
like a nice cold sugar blast. I can definitely see the appeal.
I don't
I've
know
never
why.
done it myself, but I can think I can understand
Chocolate in the
appeal.
fridge, yes or no?
Honestly, it depends on my mood. It really does. Depends what I'm fancying.
I'm always chocolate in the fridge.
Always, yeah.
Yeah. Chocolate in the fridge. Piece of white chocolate, cup of tea. Oh, yeah.
We are answering the serious questions for you
We're
here
getting
today.
down to it. Let's not talk about films. Right, chocolate. No. Speaking of chocolate, that brings us very nicely on to Tremors.
Oh, seamless.
Which is the film of the week. You picked this one, Alice. So give us a little bit of background on the film. What's it about? Who's in it? And then we'll move on to why you picked it.
So Tremors is a film from 1990. It's about 2 guys who are ready to go and make it in the big city. They're getting fed up of living in their small village right in the Midwest, kind of really in the middle of nowhere, and they're ready to up and go. They're a couple of handymen. One of them is Kevin Bacon. Can't remember the other fella's name. Always forget. Fred Ward. Fred Ward. Gonna inception that into my brain. Fred Ward forever. And so then they're trying to leave, but then weird things start happening. Some people turn up dead. A bunch of sheep get eaten. And we're like, oh my God, what's going on? But they're like, no, we have to leave. But then too many crazy things start going. So they're like, right, well, we've got to stay here and figure out who's going around murdering everyone. Turns out it's massive, giant underground monsters that are coming up and eating people. So the story follows Kevin Bacon and his mates and how they resolve the problem of these giant monsters that we'll call graboids because that's how they're referred to in the film.
That's what they call them.
But they're the ones causing these tremors, the aforementioned tremors. But they get them in the end and everyone lives happily ever after and Kevin Bacon gets the girl, which we like to see.
He certainly does. So now that we know what it's about, why did you pick it? Is it because you just like big monsters?
I
Because
mean,
you've already done Dracula. Big sharks, and now
yeah.
we're on to big worm things.
Definitely a theme here, isn't there? I wasn't sure until you pointed it out.
Is it King Kong next week?
Oh,
are we doing?
damn.
No, why did you pick it?
It was definitely, for me, it's definitely an underseen. Most people that I speak to haven't seen it. I'm going to assume that it's underrated. Again, I've tried to avoid that so you can surprise me at the end. But definitely underseen because you hadn't seen it and you've seen a fair few films.
Yeah. So I hadn't seen it going into it. So all I knew going into it was that it had Kevin Bacon in it. It was something to do with monsters.
Mm-hmm.
And I'd read somewhere that there was like elements from this that influenced Stranger Things. The Netflix show.
Okay, interesting.
Like I'd read that Stranger Things was, a bit Spielberg-y, a bit Tremors. I'd read like Tremors and, Gremlins, other kind of late 80s, 90s monster movies with kind of slightly practical effects and that sort of thing. So that's the only thing I knew. I actually thought that it was kind of a more family-friendly film.
Oh, did you?
So like you said, like Gremlins. I wasn't expecting like, a kid's film, but like I suppose Jurassic Park levels of scary, but like kids kind of, I don't know, 8 and above can watch it, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So I didn't expect much going in. I must say, I kind of went in expecting bad effects, and a cheesy script. And that's what I thought going in.
Yes, and when you came out the other side?
I enjoyed it so much more.
Really?
Than I thought I was
Good.
going to. I did not have high hopes, and I just thought it was a really good ride.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought the chemistry between the two leads, like you say, Kevin Bacon and Fred Ward, was brilliant. Like the constant like back and forth between them, the way that they're like, one's a bit older, one's a bit younger, but they're obviously like kind of comrades, brothers in arms.
Yeah, I mean, Fred's got his back completely. Yeah, as well.
They keep doing rock paper scissors.
Oh,
to
yeah.
decide stuff.
So that's where we kind of learned. So I saw this film when I was, I don't know, I wanted like maybe 7 or 8 years old. Like I was younger than you should be watching something like that, because some of the language absolutely filthy.
Yeah.
And that was where we learned about rock, paper, scissors and all that. So then afterwards we're doing that. It was the first time I'd heard someone use the expression, pardon my French. So then afterwards I'm like, what does this mean, pardon my French? It was also actually where I definitely learned to say shit for the first time as well.
So an educational experience for you.
Oh, definitely.
So having watched it again, what did you think?
I did really enjoy it again, but I didn't come out of it surprised. I didn't see anything that I hadn't seen, like when I watched it when I was a kid. It was still the same film. There's not really, I mean, I don't think that there's any like implied meaning or that there's a deeper story going on. I think it just absolutely is what it is on face value. It's 2 guys who are fighting these big monsters, have a bit of fun along the way, pick up a girl, here's the old guy, here's the family in distress, you've got all the characters, and then everything ends happily ever after.
But I like that. I like that it is what it is. I like the fact that the monsters, the graboids, the worm things, are just there.
Yeah.
And there's no exploration. There's a little bit where the scientist character, who's the kind of love interest, explains what they might be. But it's never like, a lot of times in these films, at some point, a secret government agency shows up.
Yeah.
And it's
like,
we've been investigating this for years. You know, we think that this, and they came from this planet, or they were disturbed at this part of the earth, or it's all very like, there's always a higher meaning, whereas this is just, they're just monsters.
Yeah, it's like, could be this, could be that. They hypothesize aliens, they hypothesize like a prehistoric being that has only just been woken up. But even as she's saying it, she says, well, why would we just be discovering it now and all this? Because it doesn't make sense. But it's just kind of like, that's quite a fun element about it. It's just like, oh, there's crazy things happening. Why? It's like, I don't know, but we got to fix it. We got to blow them up.
Yeah, so I like that. I like that. They show but don't tell you.
So you touched on Rhonda, who is the love interest, but she is a scientist and she is a character in her own right. But the way we're introduced to her is obviously very telling of Valentine, of Kevin Bacon's character. So they're driving along, aren't they? And then not Bert. I always get Bert and Earl confused, but Bert's the other guy, the gun nut, and we'll get onto him later.
Yeah. Oh, we will.
With Earl, so he says that, there's a new college grad, or, there's a new person coming to do whatever these assessments that they're doing on the land or whatever. And straight away, Val's like, that's meant to be a girl. And he makes a complete beeline. So they're driving on the highway, going a different way. They see the female scientist drive like right over the landscape. It's just dirt. It's not the proper road or anything. Make this proper beeline for her. They get there. She's like, hi, I'm Rhonda. This is what I'm doing. They have a chat. He's not happy because she's not got blonde hair, blue eyes, legs that go up to here. Like, he's listing off all these things that he expects.
He describes
from a woman.
He describes a woman that doesn't exist.
Yeah, that's his ideal. And that's what he wants her to be. Yeah. But she's not, and he's disappointed. And then they have a conversation. She sort of says why she's there. They say a bit about who they are. And then when the conversation ends, she says, sorry to bother you, and then leaves. And I'm like, they drove over at high speeds to interrupt you. You're trying to measure what the fuck's going on underground, and they're driving over with their truck, and she feels the need to say, I'm sorry to bother you. And Val's just like, yeah, that's the way it should be.
I think the film does a really good job of, like, it's a really tight 90, 5 minutes or so. It's bang on more or less an hour and a half. Mm-hmm. And I think it does a really good job in that time. First of all, I like that. It's bookended, short, sharp, really great storytelling. But I like what it does in short bursts with its characters. So you build up that, like we've already said, you build up that relationship between Valentine and Earl, But you also get stuff like, because it's got horror elements, I think something that a good horror does really well in terms of horrors like this, where it's, you know, groups of people being picked off rather than a more psychological thriller. When it's this kind of thing based in a monster or a killer or something. I like when scripts give you little glimpses of the characters' lives. So you just develop that little bit of attachment to them before they're killed. Which might sound a bit sick now I say it out loud. What I mean is that heightens the impact for me. So there's a bit where the worms, the graboids, kill a kind of older couple, and they're not established characters, I don't think. They're
the guy's the doctor, isn't he, who they saw at the beginning because of the man who
Oh, is
dehydrated to death.
Oh,
I'm pretty
yeah.
sure it's the doctor's the same
Well, they're
guy.
not like in it. They're not like, you don't really know
Right,
them.
so you don't
they're just
fall in
there.
love with them, yeah.
But you just get, you know, like you say, a little bit at the beginning with the older guy who's died on the electricity pylon, and then they die. But you just get little hints of their marriage, and that they're trying to build a caravan.
Yeah, they just want to kind of live that retired life and
chill
just
out,
enjoy
enjoy the
themselves, have
stars.
peace and quiet.
And then that heightens the impact. Whereas, you know, sometimes you get horror films where, you know, you get people wandering into a forest or into an abandoned funfair or whatever the setting is, and they get killed, but there's no establishment. So you're like, oh. So, you know, it's in the world of the film, obviously, if any person gets killed, it's horrible. But in the world of the film, I don't care. It's a horror film. I'm expecting that. But that little bits like that, little bits like the rock, paper, scissors, little, you know, eccentricities of characters and pieces of dialogue, I like make them more likable. They make them more real, and that heightens your enjoyment of the film for me.
Yeah, and definitely for Val and Earl, because they are doing all the shitty jobs, aren't they? They're like the town handymen, and they get literally covered in shit one point when they're working the septic tank or whatever, and they're drinking beers out of a toilet, and it's like you just feel like it's almost as low as they can go, and that's why they're then so desperate to leave. You've got to see, I guess it's building up to show you why they are so desperate to leave. And then all these things happen, like, oh, the woman isn't hot. Oh, we got covered in shit. Like, oh, we've got to drink beer out of a toilet. And they're just like,
someone
fuck
offers
this.
to pay them a bit of money, but in beer.
Yeah. But they turn it down.
But they're
very proud that they turn it down. We just turn away free beer. Good for you guys.
How do you think it? Because one thing as well, like, it hadn't really aged badly.
So I don't think so. No, because it's special effects. It's not visual effects. Like they're puppets and they're models and, you know, or they're electronic, whatever. But that doesn't age as badly, I find.
And as much as, yes, some of the special effects are a little bit wobbly in terms of what we can do now with special effects, but it never took me out of the film. I kind of just took it as the fact that it was a 30-year-old film.
And there was nothing too kind of big and unrealistic happening. Like, it was just sort of kind of people getting pulled underground and, you just sort of see arms going under, and that's not like super difficult to do.
There's a lot of stuff you don't see, isn't it? A lot of like wobbling of floors and a lot of like holes opening up, which is you know, fairly simple to do. But there's no bit where there's a big climactic fight and like one comes out the ground and it's like a really wobbly early CGI or like claymation that takes you right out of you know, like, do you know what I mean? Like, I think that the elements of horror of the film have aged pretty well. I thought as well, in terms of the film being a horror, or the horror elements of the film, it did a really good job of building tension.
Okay.
Like, there are elements like the older couple, the doctor that we mentioned, but there's stuff in it, like the two for me that come to mind are, there's the character of Melvin, who's like a teenage boy. He's like a right snotty little shit, basically. He keeps doing stuff to make other characters jump.
Yeah, like walks out with the dead graboid wrapped around his neck.
He throws a basketball at Earl. And you
boy
know,
who cried wolf.
Yeah, he's the boy who cried wolf. So you know that's sowing the seed that, well, he's going to do something and he's either going to die or that's going to when the monster showed up. And that's exactly what happens. But even though I was kind of expecting it, I was kind of expecting that he might come to a short end, a grisly death or whatever, but he didn't.
No.
And the other bit that I really liked was there's a little girl who's on a pogo stick. And I just thought that was a really good device for building tension, because they establish it at one point of just she's just doing as many pogo jumps as she can early in the film, and then later on they're looking for her and they're all trying to stay quiet, and then you just hear like and it's like, I don't know. I just thought it was a really good device. It's not something I thought of, and I thought it was really impactful.
Definitely. So simple, because everything else has been like, it's pneumatic drilling, like when those construction guys are doing it. So it's like, oh, that's drawing them to you. But yeah, because it's such an innocent thing as well, isn't it? The pogo stick, and she's just like this sweet little blonde girl. And then if the ground opens up underneath her and she gets swallowed up, that would be horrifying. But that again, her character gives Kevin Bacon's Val a lot of opportunity to be the hero, because the whole thing is setting Val up to be this hero. Like, he saves the girls, he comes up with the plan. He's the guy who keeps coming up with plans of what to do. And it's like, at the beginning, he's set up as such a just gross guy. Like, the opening shot is of him pissing off the edge of a cliff, and then he's like scratching his ass, and then he pretends that there's a stampede and wakes up Earl in the back of the truck and all this stuff. And then you kind of see him develop and get a bit wiser. And by the end of it, he's the brains of the operation. Even Bert, the gun nut, is like, Val, what do we do? Tell us what to do. And it's like, why this kid? Why not you with the 50 million guns?
Well, speaking of Bert, the character
what a guy.
who is still in the film 7 sequels down the line, you seem to have something to say about Bert. What was it?
He's just the absolute epitome of the kind of crazed conspiracy gun nut guy that you would expect in that kind of film. And it's just so great to have him and his wife along for the ride. And it's like, when it all starts happening, they're like, oh, it's probably the government, it's probably this thing, it's probably that thing. They're like, right, what are we going to do? Let's get all the guns together. That's obviously what we need to do. And then they have that brilliant shootout scene where it gets them in their bomb shelter and they just completely obliterate it. Bang, bang, over and over.
I was fully expecting them to die.
Yeah.
At that moment, I thought, they're going to get ripped apart.
We're still left with quite a lot of the cast at the end, really. If you think that a lot of these kind of go down maybe you got 2 left at the end, maybe you get 3 left at the end, but most of the key characters do survive at the end.
It's not like Deep Blue City.
No, all but 2, yeah.
Where it's like, you say 2 characters die, like about 6 of them or something at the end, maybe even more.
Yeah. Jaws as well, wasn't it? Just the last 2 fellas swimming back. Yeah. So obviously great Western elements. Like, it is a bit of a cowboy romp as well. Like, Val thinks of himself as that sort of character. Like, he's got the hat, he's got the outfit, and there's just a brilliant scene where the road's closed and the phone lines are down and they're like, oh my God, what are we going to do? And it's like, oh, Val and Earl can ride off to the next town on these horses and save the day. And so everyone gathers around outside to kind of say bye to Val and Earl. They get on the horses and they literally ride off into the sunset. And there's some brilliant visuals, I think, and they really use the landscape as well for what it is. But that's funny. And then it's just like, Val's character is just really interesting. And I suppose I hadn't really appreciated that at first, but he does have a bit of a character arc, which is nice.
Yeah, he does. You're right. Like you say, he goes from being like a bit naive and gross to being like the hero. I never thought, actually, that's a good point, the way it plays with the imagery of the kind of where it's set, I suppose. Like, you are right. It is... does a really good job of capturing the isolated nature of the town.
Oh, definitely. Even with things like putting the population number on the sign and it's 14 and they keep saying like the nearest town is 38 miles away. And then, if we can't get there, we're going to starve to death in a couple of days.
Yeah. So I suppose we'll move on to stuff that we perhaps didn't like. Having watched it again, anything not that didn't or annoyed you?
Not annoyed. I feel like it's one of those films that you just can't be annoyed at. Like, the problem with watching and falling in love with certain films when you're a kid is that it gets a bit hard to shake that and you sort of struggle to see the flaws in something. But with this, I suppose some of Rhonda's moments, like, obviously weren't great. Like, she had, considering that she's a scientist and she's probably the smartest person there, she has a lot of really dumb moments. Like when they're outside and they're getting attacked, there's a graboid attack and Earl is trying to get Rhonda to run one way with him to get back into the shop so that they can climb on the roof. And she just runs the complete other way, gets trapped in some barbed wire, and then has to take her trousers off. And then you've got the moment where Val is playing fucking doctor and like dripping iodine into her wounds and stuff. And he's like, are you okay? And all this. And I'm like, I was just like, oh,
Yeah,
naff. Like, I remembered that she got her kit off, and I know it's a staple of these films. We have to have a naked lady somewhere. But yeah, just dumb. And then she's just kind of made out sometimes to be a little bit ditzy. And I'm like, I don't think she is, though.
She's a scientist. So
Yeah.
I know what you mean. Like, she does take her jeans off. At least it's just the jeans. It's not like Deep Blue Sea where it's full underwear for no reason. But because, like you said, there's a bit where he's dressing her wounds, and there's a pause, and I thought, oh, is he gonna kiss?
Yeah, now when she's pantsless.
But not even her, as in, is he gonna kiss the cuts?
Oh, God, did you think that's where I gone? That'd have been awful.
And then he doesn't,
thankfully.
God. But so there's nothing, again, I don't really want to have a pop at anything like the special effects, because I don't really think it's fair to judge a film that's using what it had at the time. The only real issue I probably had with the film was that sometimes it's like it didn't know what it wanted to be. Mm-hmm. It's almost as if they made it as a horror monster film and then perhaps decided it might have been more financially successful if they'd made it a family film. And so there's elements where they blend the two and it doesn't quite work. So it's like there's times where it uses like really warm music, like flutes and brass that you would associate with more family friendly films. Do you know what I mean? Like the music he uses, snappy, quippy dialogue that you might associate again with more family friendly films. But then there's gory moments, decapitated heads. They say swearing. I know that there was more swearing because in when I was reading about it, originally that's why they call the worms Mother Hubbards. Yeah,
because they do, or Mother Humper, don't they? When they're on the walkie-talkie. So Bert and his wife have killed. They've killed the one that was obviously broken into their thing. Yeah. And they're like, how many more of these Mother Humpers? And Val's like, there are 2 more Mother Humpers. But they've said fuck elsewhere in the script. They say shit. They say all kinds of stuff.
And apparently, they actually did say motherfucker, and it's dubbed.
Really? Just for that one bit? Maybe that's too much, motherfucker.
From my understanding, it might have changed, but you can. It's a 15, this, isn't it? Or it was when I went on Amazon. But you can get away with 1 fuck in a 12, okay. But I don't know when. I know the 12A came in 2002 for Spider-Man, but I don't know when 12 came in. So maybe it was one of those. But there is a bit where it's just a little bit jarring, where it's like it's not quite a fully fledged monster film. It's not quite a family-friendly kind of Gremlinsy. Like I said at the start, I was expecting Jurassic Park levels of a bit of gore, and I think Jurassic Park's only a PG. I might be wrong. And I do think that with some kind of a bit more creativity, probably could have got away with it, making it a PG. I think if they revisited the certification of this, I can't see them giving it a 15.
What, you think it would go down to a 12 or up to an 18? It wouldn't go
no,
up to an 18,
down to a 12A probably.
Yeah.
Because I was speaking to someone and said I was watching it, and he said, "Oh, I used to watch it all the time as a kid." And then when I had watched it, I was like, "I used to watch it all the time as a kid." I said, "What like when it says like," and he meant a kid. He's like, "What about like when it says fuck?" And he said, "I don't remember it saying that." And he was like, "I think my version was taped off the telly."
Yeah.
So he must have you do get like, especially people of our age and older who've watched films based off TV cuts. So there's bits of films I haven't seen because I originally watched it when it was taped off the telly. Yeah. But I don't know, would you prefer it to be an all-out monster film or a more family-friendly film? Because I think it tries to walk tries to have a foot in both camps, and I think it should kind of shit or get off the pot a little bit.
Maybe. I wonder if that combination does work, though. I mean, all I know is that I enjoy it, so I'm not sure. If I would think that it would be better if it was maybe just this whole other genre. The thing is, I don't like Gremlins. Sorry to say. Yeah. I'm not really a fan of Gremlins. I do prefer, I'm not really into that kind of kids, family horror sort of thing. I do prefer it when it, I mean, I'm not a horror fan anyway, but yeah, the sophisticated masterpiece that is Deep Blue Sea. So yeah, I don't know. But it's definitely like a mishmash of different genres.
I mean, it wasn't noticeably jarring. I just thought there was times when perhaps, because something that was interesting is that again, reading about it, it wasn't a commercial success. It didn't make loads of money, but it made loads of money at home video. So maybe it would hit that sweet spot of people weren't going to the cinema to see it, but perhaps people were watching it going, this is actually okay, then buying it to show the kids. I don't know. I just think it's quite interesting. There's not that many films that do really poorly at the cinema. And then I know there's the odd cult film which builds up, but this was probably like a really early example of doing really well on home video, but not that well at the cinema. And I was wondering if it was to do with that that mishmash of styles.
Maybe like it just doesn't quite click
Yeah.
with so many people.
Pick one.
Because yeah.
So we'll come on to the critical reception shortly. But before then, Alice, you're going to take us on a journey.
I am. A journey of wonder and surprise.
Where are we
going down the rabbit hole in this bit that we're going to call Alice Down the Rabbit Hole.
Take us to it.
Now, we all know what became of VE extraordinaire Kevin Bacon, but what about his leading lady, Rhonda? Elizabeth Fern Carter, who goes by Finn, has got a few credits to her name, mostly the odd episode in various TV series and a few TV movies. Finn most recently appeared in court after she was arrested in Las Vegas for possession of a stolen vehicle and 14 counts of possessing a credit card without the cardholder's consent in 2019. Finn said she had been living in Vegas for a year and a half, but when asked if she had a stable address, simply replied, "I have somewhere I can stay." She was released from custody and was expected to return to court in October, but I haven't been able to find out the rest of the story. And really, there's not much else on Finn. Kevin Bacon has become a household name with his own star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame, but the same fortunes did not await Finn, with her success seeming to start and end with Tremors, as I found when researching for this bit that most websites refer to Finn Carter as the woman from Tremors. Poor Finn.
So we'll move on to the critical reception then, before deciding whether or not it is underrated or underseen. Or you thought it was underseen, didn't you?
Definitely underseen. And I'm going to hazard a guess that I will probably find it underrated because I do like it a lot. And I appreciate that it's not everyone's cup of tea. And maybe it just doesn't strike a chord with many people, like you said, because of the kind of not fully knowing what it is that it wants to be.
So have a little guess then. Where do you think it sits in terms of how it was received?
Reception. I wonder, so thinking back, you know, if we think about our other films, so Easy A only made it to 7, which was a shocker for me. And I feel like Tremors, as much as I would probably go, I'd go high 7s, probably maybe an 8 on a push. I don't think it probably got that. And I reckon you're probably looking at more high 6s, maybe around a 6.8. And even as I say that, maybe I feel like I'm being too generous.
Right, too generous.
Yeah.
So on IMDb, it gets 7.1 out of 10.
Okay.
On Rotten Tomatoes, the audience give it 75%, but the critics... What do you think they gave it?
Oh.
The critics.
The critics. What did they
give me a ballpark percentage.
So the critics surprise me sometimes and just go the completely other way. I'm going to go in optimistic and say that the critics gave it a solid 88%.
That's exactly what they gave it.
Really?
Yeah. Wow. Did you read the critical reception? Yeah.
Oh, that's crazy.
The critics gave it 88%.
They loved it.
So I think that's mental.
That is, I mean, that's very kind.
That's
isn't it?
3% higher than Easy A, which we thought was underrated.
Yeah. Oh wow.
So
good for them. Good for them.
88%. I mean, that's
a great
and that's
score.
not even from like a few reviews. That's from 43 reviews. That is from.
Yeah.
So that's mad.
That is, that's high.
Yeah.
Oh, good for them.
So what do we think then? Is it underrated? Is it underseen?
I feel like it's probably appropriately rated, given that. Are you going to say it's overrated?
No, I mean, based on the critics score, yeah. It's like up there with The Godfather or something.
I know, that is a big score. What would you have given it? Like if you were going to...
Maybe like a 6.5?
Yeah.
Like a 7, 6.5. Like it was a great film.
Mm-hmm.
It was tightly told. I liked the way it created its world. I liked the way I particularly like the chemistry between the lead characters and all that. I would definitely watch it again.
Oh, good.
Like if it was on, I'd watch it. But based on those, probably slightly overrated, but you mainly picked it because you think it's underseen, and I think it is underseen.
Definitely, I would do, 100%.
So we'll call it underseen.
Yeah,
but,
and appropriately rated.
Give it a meh on rating. Underseen, though.
Yes, certainly. And definitely worth a watch if you haven't seen it.
So that's another one for the underseen pile, and the appropriately rated, we'll say, shall we?
Yes.
Well, if you want to get in touch with us, please do let us know what you thought about Tremors. If you've got any films you want us to do, get in touch. It's filmsandthatpod@gmail.com. We're on Twitter @films_that, and the Facebook and Instagram are filmsandthatpod. Get in touch. We'd love to hear from you. Alice, thank you as ever for joining me.
Thank you so much, Josh.
And it's goodbye from me. Cheerio.
Bye.
Holiday shopping is here, and Amazon Live has got you covered. Shop for the perfect gift from the comfort of your home with Amazon Live's shoppable video experience. Discover the hottest products from influencers and shop while you watch. This season, join Candy Burris from Real Housewives in her holiday Amazon Live series, Generation Face Off, where Candy, her mom, Mama Joyce, and daughter Riley share their favorite stocking stuffers and go-to gifts across fashion, beauty, and more. Watch and shop new episodes of Candy's series Generation Face Off now by going to amazon.com/candylive. That's amazon.com/candylive. For a limited time, use promo code CANDYLIVE for $5 off an eligible product featured on the first episode of the series. That's KANDILIVE. Promotion expires on December 25th, 2024. Limited supply of goods. Terms and conditions apply. For full promotion terms and conditions, go to amazon.com/candyterms.
Sharing all the joy that the holiday season brings has never been easier. With Celebrations Passport from 1-800-Flowers.com, my one-stop shopping site for even those hard-to-gift people. With Celebrations Passport, I get free shipping on thousands of amazing holiday gifts, like festive flowers and arrangements, and fresh fruit and gourmet gift baskets from Harry and David. Make the holidays merrier by gifting smarter at 1-800-Flowers.com/ACAST. That's 1-800-Flowers.com/ACAST.
Every idea starts with a problem. Warby Parker's was simple. Glasses are too expensive. So they set out to change that. By designing glasses in-house and selling directly to customers, they're able to offer prescription eyewear that's expertly crafted and unexpectedly affordable. Warby Parker glasses are made from premium materials like impact-resistant polycarbonate and custom acetate. And they start at just $95, including prescription lenses. Get glasses made from the good stuff. Stop by a Warby Parker store near you.